Okay, so guys, tonight we have as our guest Lame Dad Retro Gamer. He has an up and coming YouTube channel, retro related, and he also plays a little bit of modern games. Uh, so Dave, how long ago did you start?
Um, I started this channel back in February, and it's something that I've been wanting to get this going since 2009. So yeah, it's about time.
And did you know? I mean, so that was a long time ago that you wanted to start it versus when you did start. I mean, has anything changed about what you wanted to do then versus what you ended up doing now?
Yeah, absolutely. I never thought that I would get into like doing some of the unboxings or really watch the videos, but trying to keep up with everybody. I really enjoy the unboxings, and so I never thought that I would have that kind of content on my channel, 10 years ago, or much less any times I've thought about it for the last, 12 years or whatever. But it's a lot of fun watching those videos, and it's a lot of fun doing them. I enjoy getting the box. It makes for good content and it makes for a good surprise. I never thought that I would do some of the VR type stuff, some of the responses. When I wanted to start this, I wanted it to be game reviews, but it's kind of grown and changed with the channel starting up.
Yeah, and I think unboxing videos they might get the views they do and be popular because it's like the viewers kind of living vicariously through somebody else's unboxing, you know.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely. Yeah,
Especially with some of those too, the monthly ones you see what you can kind of you want to get like an idea. Like I don't think anybody would sign up for any of those if they weren't able to see what people are really getting in them and videos of it.
yeah,
So
agreed.
yeah, people would be like, yeah, but I don't really know what I'm gonna get. And then by watching the unboxing videos, it kind of uh lets you know whether not only do you want to do it, but which one of the because there's a lot of companies that are doing those, which one you want to sign up for, you know?
Yeah, for sure. And this may be the wrong thing to say on an interview like this, but um, for me, I enjoy doing the unboxings. But what it comes down to is that that's one video a month for me. That's not an extremely challenging project or an idea to put out there.
Yeah, and yeah, it's something you don't have to put a ton of thought or editing into, you know.
Yeah, absolutely,
Whereas
absolutely.
the review, you got to kind of cover a lot of bases. You got to kind of do a qualitative analysis of a game. Sometimes when you're doing a review, you got to sit with a game for a month. You can't,
Yes.
you can't just pop a game in, play it 10 minutes, and you're like, yeah, boom, here's my review. You gotta almost kind of beat the game or play it through a majority of the way to fairly, you know, thoroughly analyze it.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. And that's why, putting them together is a lot of work. But I think that, mainstream America has really skewed a lot of people and a lot of gamers by putting out some of these reviews from some of the major players. And I mean, again, I'm not saying my opinion is worth the hill of beans compared to, the yahoos at, IGN or Game Informer or whatever. Um, but there's just so many wrong things said about so many games that if you're a consumer and you're wanting to purchase certain products, I found myself many years ago, you know, wanting to know what IGN for whatever reason thought about a game, versus, hey, let me find some guy on YouTube who's a legitimate gamer who wants to play. What are his thoughts?
It's funny too because I recently, to give you an example that's current for me, I was looking through the entire library of the original Xbox for games to add to my modded one that I am trying to build up a library on,
Mhm.
and you get so much variation because when you look at reviews, which I was doing once I singled out which games I wanted to put on there, you get reviews that you get your people that are like your AVGN copycats who want
Mhm.
to do the whole angry rant reviews, and a lot of the times they're playing into it more than being accurate about the game. You know, they're kind of so what I would find is you'd have one review where a guy hated on the game in a comical way, and then another guy would put it on his hidden gems list and say why it was a good game, even though wasn't successful as far as sales. So you get so much variation, you know, when you watch people's perspective on them.
Yeah, and what really got me intrigued or really got my attention about the misinformation was whoever the yahoo was at IGN that originally reviewed the Resident Evil 2 remake. And he came out in his review and said that there was absolutely no reason to play Claire's scenario because there wasn't another part of the game which is completely inaccurate.
Now, are you a resident? So, have you played all the Resident Evil games or a majority of them?
I have not played the newer two, 7 or 8. I have a hard time getting into Resident Evil first person shooter.
Yeah.
Um, but I mean, I grew up with the original, so they still have a pretty good place in my heart.
Well, because what I'm wondering about 7 and 8 is they seem more up my alley. I have 8, The Village.
Mhm.
I haven't got to it yet. Just like too many other games on my backlog. But what seems like about so my take is like 5 and 6 was more like a kind of like a co-op where you
Yeah.
almost I heard that that's better played with 2 players, and 7 and 8 seem like they're kind of going more straightforward first person shooter survival horror, which is a little more up my alley because I don't really like to navigate a ton in menu systems. I feel like
Mhm.
that's kind of like what takes away from a game when you're just fucking with shit in the menu or you're leveling up a character a lot.
Yeah.
The RPGs never do shit for me. That's just my own personality with them. Even though I know I'm missing out on probably a lot of games because of that. But yeah, I just don't like it. Takes away from me if I'm messing with a menu system. I feel like I'm lost, like with a new piece of like electronic equipment, and I'm just trying to navigate some menu I don't understand. But that's what the 7 and 8 appealed to me more. And I know 7 was also like VR. You could do it with
Yeah.
the head.
Yeah. The thing I see with 7 and 8 is first person shooters, right? Typically, for the most part, a first person shooter is going to be pretty straightforward, easy to pick up, easy to play, and honestly, if it's not, it's not going to get played. Um, Long gone are the days where you've got one control stick to play a first person shooter game. So that they do look very very easy to get into. I do agree with the menu systems. As I'm starting to play, games, for example, like the Soul series, that give you very little explanation. You're in a menu going, what the hell do I do here?
And what's funny is like you notice as modern games evolved, they kind of evolved from on PS1 you'd have all these stupid menu systems and it just wasn't very effective. Like they kind of evolved into like a circle wheel. So say you're in GTA, right? You're in GTA 5. You can jump that circle wheel and switch weapons. I mean,
Yeah,
that's really ideal. You want something you can pop in and jump between accessories quickly. You don't want to like feel like you're, uh, going into settings on your fucking Windows 10 desktop. You want to
yeah,
feel like you're in the game. You don't want it to take you out of it, and that's why I think they've even a game like Mass Effect too. All those games, it was like a click wheel for accessories. That works so much better for me.
Yeah, it does. It really does. So something that I preach pretty hardcore on my channel is for the game reviews is that I gotta have a game that's fun because I want to enjoy it. Um, and I need good gameplay, but I need good controls. A control system can completely ruin a game, and if it doesn't have good controls, I'm not going to give it a whole lot of time. Not me personally. And so, like you said, that will system has been pretty revolutionary to the game industry, and something so small and simple like that has made a huge impact.
Very true. Um, did you have channels in particular that stand out that were a big influence on the style you wanted to do with your channel? Or maybe it didn't even influence the style you wanted to do, but it made you want to do your take on things, you know?
Well, I mean, and this is you hear this a lot from people. But when this idea was planted in my head in 2009, um, I was working a ton of hours, and I was going to college, and I had about 15 minutes to myself during the day, and I would watch the Angry Video Game Nerd. I would watch James Rolfe. That was kind
Yep.
of my break, and when I saw that, I was like, I want to do game reviews, and a lot of people say that or whatever, but I didn't want to do them in his style because that's not who I am. That's not what I wanted to do. I wanted to do my own thing where I'm going to put out game reviews that are from the average person. They're from people like me that have 3 kids and don't have a ton of time to put into a game. But watching all of these different channels now that I'm watching more so than I ever did in the past. There are channels that I do watch, and they do certain things in their videos, and I'll find that I want to go through and I want to kind of use some of that information, and it's simple stuff, right? Like the text on a thumbnail or the way you transition from clips in a video. Just subtle things like that that I find influential.
Right, putting your own personality into it.
Yeah,
Like
absolutely.
you threw in a little Costanza thing
Yeah.
I told earlier. Uh and you're holding up a Reservoir Dogs there. You're a Tarantino guy? Tarantino
Yeah,
fan?
absolutely. And I mean, I don't care for like Jackie Brown. I mean, that's okay or whatever. But and the Hateful Eight was just too bloody for me, and I can deal with some blood, but that was just kind of over the top. Um, yeah, I really love his films. I watch Once Upon a Time in Hollywood way too much. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, I had a buddy of mine send that collector's edition to me, and great film, and the collector's edition being the gas can was just awesome, extremely relevant to the movie.
Brad Pitt kind of upstaged Leo.
Dude, no doubt, absolutely. And his
He was,
character in that movie is
was
is
so cool.
fantastic.
Yeah, he was so cool in that.
Yeah, when he here's a spoiler for everybody, but when he beats up Bruce Lee or whatever, just a great movie. And watching him in Inglorious Bastards as well, he was a fantastic character.
You know, I guess the Bruce Lee family got really pissed off about his portrayal in that.
Yeah.
I don't know if you read any of that stuff. They're really,
No, I guess
uh,
I didn't.
yeah, they're. I guess they felt like that he did like like Quentin did like too much of like a caricature of him, you know, and they kind of used him for like a comical effect. But I mean, it wasn't. It was such a small little thing in the movie. I thought they were just kind of being a little touchy about it.
Well, and that's the thing. Like, if you check out the here's my little shameless channel plug. If you check out the like the Celebrity Deathmatch review, it's take the game for what it is. It was based off of a show in the late '90s that was raunchy, that was over the top, vulgar, all that stuff, right? And that game was made for a very particular audience. In the same way with Family Guy. I mean, people get so bent out of shape and so butthurt over stuff that maybe not directed towards them.
Yeah. Since you've seen it a lot, I've only seen it once, but I'm the type that I can remember most scenes from a movie even 5 years later. Being specific about the movie, you know you're in a Tarantino movie because of the way he utilizes the music and the way he sets up the cinematography. Like, for example, when you're in the beginning of it, and they're both backing up, Leo and Brad Pitt are back. Their characters are backing up in that car. Just the way he shoots that, and they go in reverse, and he's just the way he sets it up. It's the way he does it. You know what I mean? Like, you know you're in a Tarantino movie because of the use of music, because of the way it's shot. I mean, it's just funny because no other movies have it. It's what I'm trying to say is, like, his direction is so all over his movies. It's painted all over him, and
Oh, well,
no other movie
absolutely.
had that feel. You know?
I mean, if you watch, if you watch Reservoir Dogs, right? What I find um, just genius. It speaks of his creativity and his genius. Is that whole movie? There's like 10, maybe 12 characters. I may be under or overing that, but it's shot over like 4 or 5, maybe 6 different sets. It's not like a movie now where it's all over the place. And obviously, it was done low budget, um, but it just speaks to how creative that he was, that it was like, okay, this is what I have to work with, but this is how I'm going to make it happen. And then you get into his movies um, like Kill Bill, and you're absolutely in a Tarantino movie, 100%.
Yeah, he's got his own. He's got his own sense of, like his critics will hit on him for, like, the over the top violence. But there's a sense of humor to all his shit. It's not like it's never gratuitous to me as it is to a lot of people that watch his movies, because I know there's the sense of humor to it at the end of the day.
Right, and that's what a lot of people don't see. That like when I watch Pulp Fiction, I'm having a great time and I'm laughing at all the one-liners.
Yeah.
And the same thing with Once Upon a Time in Hollywood and Inglorious Bastards. I appreciate the point. It is a very dark sense of humor, but I appreciate that. I enjoy that.
In Reservoir Dogs, who's the dude that's bleeding out the whole time? That's the only thing that annoys me a little bit. What's the guy bleeding in the
Oh
back
man,
the
you're
entire
gonna.
movie?
Yeah, it's Oh man, I don't remember right now. Honestly, it's Mister. I mean, obviously it's a Mister Color, right?
And then you
Um,
Pulp Fiction too. It just
yes, he's
enough
the
already out the whole movie.
yeah, he's the the robber in Pulp Fiction. But yeah, and that's just the thing. Like that just again speaks to his direction. Is like, okay, we're gonna have one guy that yeah, I mean it's annoying in some sense, but one guy, that's his whole job, is to lay here and bleed this whole movie.
Yeah, and like the dialogue is very him. It's like and just stands out in all his movies. What's funny is, like, it's almost like you took, like, you know how talky, like, Woody Allen movies are. I mean, if you've even seen one, you know what I mean. It's almost like he took that and then he combined it with, like, Scorsese type violence, and he made that his own. Or like another example, like Kevin Smith movies are all very fucking talky. A lot of dialogue, like almost like over the top dialogue, where they go into tremendous detail between the characters, and that's what's kind of funny about his style, and I like that. I like that he combines all this character, like just in Pulp Fiction, the stupid shit about the burger, the Royale with cheese, how much they go into detail, and you're just like on and on and on about it, but it's funny and it makes that his style and it makes that unique, you know.
Bob or whatever. But watching, like I've tried several times over the last couple of years to watch Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back or whatever, and I can't do it. Like you said, there's just so much. It just kind of drags out. I just can't watch them anymore.
Yeah, those got like a little juvenile, like with Mallrats and like even like Chasing Amy, like there was a heart to them. They were
Yeah.
still like, there was still like some more character development in there, maybe. Yeah, I stick to kind of the '90s Kevin Smith shit. Like his stuff is not as consistent in the 2000s on, if you ask me.
No, it's not. When you have movies like the original Clerks was complete. Yeah, for sure, for sure.
And in a way, we're talking. We went on a tangent about movies, but in a way, isn't that the crux of every video game with modern games? I mean, they all are kind of like mini movies.
Well, I mean, yeah, I mean the cinematics, the Call of Duty, the Michael Bay type story, explosions and stuff that is completely unrealistic. I mean, it's entertaining, and above all, I mean, we're all media nerds in one sense or another. But yeah, that's definitely revolutionized the video game market as well. Is that, I mean, for example, like another shameless channel plug, but my Metal Gear Solid 2 review. I mean, that movie has a tremendous amount of cutscenes that will definitely, it can drag the game down. Another example, I was testing and doing the Wolfenstein stream, and the other day, and we got to a point in the game where the stream was an hour long, and 45 minutes of those were cutscenes.
Which Wolfenstein game?
So I started with the stream. I started testing New Order. It was the first one that was released for the current consoles, were the PS4 and the Xbox One.
I think one of them's free on and I don't even have PlayStation Live, but PlayStation Plus or whatever. But I think one of them was free coming up on that. One of those lines. Did you ever play the one on the original Xbox? It's like Return to something Wolfenstein. I forget the title of the name.
I played that one and really enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun, and at the time, Xbox Live was just coming out.
Yeah,
and that game was multiplayer. It was on Xbox Live or whatever. And speaking about juvenile, me and my buddy, our gamer tags back then were like Private Gooch and like Sergeant Taint. But no, like I played, like I grew up playing the original Wolfenstein on PC. We would spend every Friday that we could at the YMCA. They would keep it open until midnight or whatever. And me and my buddies would go up there, and I was kind of a loser back then. And they would all go off kind of chasing the girls from school that were there or whatever, and I would hang out in the back and on, Windows, 95 or whatever. And eventually they would all find their way back to me at night after the girls turned them down or whatever. But yeah, I played the original a lot. It was a lot of fun.
and that was before even Doom came out, right?
I believe so, yeah.
I think Wolfenstein was before Doom.
I agree. I think they tried to make the same engine, or they used that engine, I think, that template. But yeah, I think you're right. Because I really don't remember a Doom game, honestly, until Doom 64. Like I said, I grew up playing, Wolfenstein, but I didn't play Doom on the SNES. So my first exposure to it was on the 64.
Anything you're playing these days, currently that's really impressed you?
I just finished. I say just. It's been about a month now, but I finished Bloodborne, and I really enjoyed Bloodborne. Hard as nails, but was completely just all over it. Loved it, and once I beat it, I wanted to do a review on it, and not necessarily a review, but just my personal take on how awesome of a game it is. But playing that game made me want to go back and play the Dark Souls games, which I have never played before. And that's one of the newer games or whatever that I've been playing here and there.
I like those games because they're challenging and they're like medieval type settings, which I've always liked games like that.
Well, it's very satisfying. Above all, it's like, man, like finally, like I beat this boss or whatever, or finally, I found where to go. I found a checkpoint or whatever, and it's just satisfying when you get that. And there's so many games now that you'll play, and even when you beat them, you don't have that same satisfaction as beating one boss in Bloodborne or Dark Souls for that matter.
I kind of want to pick up the remastered Dark Souls. Are you talking about? No, there's one Demon. See, I get confused by this shit. Is it Demon Souls that's remastered?
Yeah, so they remastered Demon Souls, which I guess was the first one. And I do have a copy of that, but I don't have a PS5 at the moment.
Okay.
So what I'm playing is the Dark Souls remastered on the PS4.
That okay. Demon Souls is the new one.
Yes, correct.
Okay. Yeah, this shit is ridiculous. Stop calling the games the same thing. I can't. Dark Souls 1, 2, and 3, and then Demon Souls is the new one. And Dark Souls, the original, which was on PS3 and Xbox 360, is the one that got remastered that you're talking about. Yeah, that's the one I want to get. Because I don't have a PS5 or Xbox Series whatever either. So
And so what I ended up doing I wanted to buy all three games, and instead of buying them here or there, I found a PAL box set of 1 through 3 for like $30 on eBay.
oh nice, and you can play it even though it's PAL. It plays.
Yeah, the PS4 isn't region locked like all the other consoles before it, so it'll play PAL games no problem.
Nice. The other thing that makes it hard to keep up with did it come with all the DLC?
Yes.
It came with all the DLC too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Nice.
So I mean, apparently, what I've gathered is Dark Souls is really popular in the U.S. It's really really popular over across the pond, and so the U.S. version of the Dark Souls trilogy is a lot of money on eBay. I don't think maybe there wasn't a ton of made. I'm not sure, but yeah, it's definitely cheaper to get a PAL.
Now, were you holding up a loose GameCube game there?
Yeah, man. So that's the unboxing, right? And I'm cool with getting a loose game that's in a DVD case. But man, when you send me something in a jewel case, it's gonna get lost in all the clutter. It's gonna get lost in the shelf. That's one thing that I'm not as particular about as a lot of collectors are. Now, don't get me wrong. My Resident Evil GameCube collection is all immaculate and worth a ton of money. But I don't get too hung up on cartridges that have writing on them or having missing booklets. For me, if I get a cartridge that has a name on it or whatever, that's just a little bit of history of that game. I mean, games all start out at $50 or $60 or now 70 with the new systems. At one point in time, that guy Brad or whatever who wrote his name on the Mario Party, that was his game. Like he valued that.
Do you play those on a original GameCube, or do you put them in a version 1 Wii?
I put him in the Wii. I have a GameCube, but I just put him in the Wii for the upscale to 480.
Yeah, and when I had a GameCube for a short while before I just got rid of the thing because the lens didn't work for dick squat. Like it wanted a game to be the lens on the GameCube I had. It wanted a game to be like mint the disc to like if it had one fucking scuff on it, the fucking thing wouldn't read it. But the Wii, you could stick in a fucking hockey puck in the Wii and it'll fucking. I don't know what it is with the dog shit GameCube lens, but
No, for sure. I mean, I've been playing. I've played the GameCube games on a Wii for a long time, but I finally picked up a GameCube again, 3 or 4 years ago. And obviously, TVs have changed, this and that. But getting a GameCube, if you want the best picture you can get without doing a bunch of crazy stuff, the component cables are stupidly expensive. I mean, it's ridiculous. There's component cables that go for over $100, and that's cheap. So
Yeah.
the best option is to go on the Wii.
The GameCube console itself, just, and I'm a Nintendo fan, it just feels like such a piece of shit. When you open that top disc drive, and just everything about it just feels like crap. And it's like a little stupid lunchbox. I just don't like the form factor of that console.
I mean, I remember when it was released, coming off the greatness of the 64. I mean, it was a big deal, that guy coming out. And it's the GameCube, and especially the GameCube games, the library, I think has gotten a lot more love, the last 4 or 5 years versus as when it was released.
Can you believe I was just talking to Brady here. Do you believe the Mario parties, fucking 4, 5, and 6? They go for like fucking $100 each now for a fucking Mario Party game.
And what's
third?
It's ridiculous. And even if you get like the Mario Party of 1, 2, and 3 or whatever on the 64, I mean, there's so many cartridges out there for the NES and on that are repros that pushes a lot of people off or whatever. But getting real copies of those is ridiculous.
Yeah, and it's like the GameCube almost reminded me of like, do you remember those Sony Dream Machine alarm clocks, like of the 90s and the early 2000s? They look just like that, like this little cube. That's what it always reminded me of, like a cheap fucking Sony alarm clock that you'd have like next to your side table, next to your bed or something. It just was an odd console to me.
Yeah, it was definitely unique coming off, or coming along next to the fantastic PS2, and then when like the beast of a system, the original Xbox came out, and you got this tiny little GameCube that, like you said, it's like a lunchbox.
Yeah, and like it doesn't sit well with any other console. Like you look at them all, they're all kind of like got the 4 feet, on the bottom, kind of like a big square, rounded square, octagon, and like and then you had the GameCube. It just looks so odd compared to all the other consoles.
Yeah, I mean, what other console do you know that has a handle on it?
Right. They thought they were being cute with that, and carried around like it's so portable. I mean, what kid was like carrying their GameCube to their friends? Like, who the hell was doing that anyway?
I mean, we used to. I mean, we did a lot of that with like PlayStation, a lot with the PS1 and the PS2 when they came out. But yeah, nobody was carrying a GameCube by the handle.
Yeah, you're like, when did you ever see like a friend like in like middle school, like or whatever, carrying a fucking GameCube across the street or something? Like, you just didn't see that. I just don't think people were using it like they thought. Maybe they were thinking in their dream world people were gonna pick it up like that, like a lunchbox. I don't get it.
I mean, I don't either, but I think, like I said, I think the games have garnished a lot of respect over the last 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, especially I picked up like the Mario Kart, the Double Dash, and obviously Luigi's Mansion, but I play them like you, just on the Wii. And I know there's like a Wario game, I think that's good, that I'd like to get, but I wouldn't pay the money for it. I think it's like a Wario Land on the GameCube. You know the one I'm talking about?
Yeah. I mean, like that's the one console that you can play like the Metal Gear Twin Snakes on that hasn't been released anywhere else. And you've got games like Metroid Prime, which they came to the Wii later or whatever, but just fantastic titles. Then you got like Eternal Darkness, which was completely off the wall, and they've done nothing else with that franchise since. But yeah, the GameCube games have come a long way. Beautiful Joe, all kind of stuff.
Now, what system are you kind of focused on right now? Any in particular that you're trying to collect for?
I I would like to collect. I like to collect for the Dreamcast. Um, but locally, there's just nothing around here for Dreamcast. I do keep, like I said, I keep that in mind. I keep that open when I'm trying to collect. And when I go to a local retro game store, I always check out the Dreamcast games, right, to see what they got or whatever. Um, but nothing changes. There's just a bunch of NFL 2Ks and NBA 2Ks running around. Um,
Yeah.
I like to collect. I like to collect for the PS2 and the GameCube. The GameCube, the games are getting really expensive, like you said, and they're getting really hard to find, like the Dreamcast as well.
Um, it's odd too that I guess I could see because so many people were either PS2 or Xbox, and that's why the GameCube was like kind of maybe more just garnered towards younger kids. And then, maybe a lot of them just kind of lost the cases. And so you end up with a lot of like loose GameCube games being resold. And that's maybe why like the prices are up on those because they are harder to come by complete because you had a bunch of little snotty nosed kids losing all the fucking cases on them.
Oh yeah.
I think that's why like complete they go for so much.
Yeah, that's my biggest thing with like video games monthly. Is like I get it. Like I don't care. Like I can deal without it being complete. Like look, I know what I'm paying for, right? I know what I'm getting out of this service. Um, but come on, man, don't send me a GameCube game in a jewel case that I'm going to lose and forget about and not play because I can't see it.
Yeah, and this they just feel so chintzy too. The little discs, like you
Yeah,
feel
absolutely.
happening too when you pick it up. Like,
Yeah, that was. I mean, you know, I heard somebody say it a while back. You know, Nintendo is like just bleeding everybody dry off of nostalgia. And I mean, don't get me wrong, like Smash Brothers, whatever it's called for the Switch now, my kids play it, is a lot of fun. Luigi's Mansion, the new one's a lot of fun. Everything they're releasing, but it's all garnered or all based off of nostalgia for these characters that like, you know, I was in middle school playing, back on the NES or whatever. There's not a lot of new IP that Nintendo is releasing. It's all based off of nostalgia.
I think one of the things that Nintendo has always done, and everybody's got to give them some respect for too, is like, you know, Microsoft and Sony go left, Nintendo goes right.
Yes.
Uh, you know, uh, Microsoft, they always do the opposite. Like, with the Wii, I mean, like with the GameCube, it's like they're gonna make this tiny lunchbox system that looks different than the PS2 looks different than the Xbox. When Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3 come around, they're like, we're gonna do motion controls, we're gonna do family, like a family console, everybody can get behind, kind of like just fun spirited games. Then like current gen, they're like, we don't really give a shit about super high 4K gaming, high res 4K gaming. We're gonna go with the Switch. You can dock it, you can carry it around. They're always like, they're always like in their own world, in little creative world. Maybe for the better because they do stand out and they do think outside the box. Dare I say they are the fucking Apple of video gaming because if you think about it, Apple was always trying to be, that what was their slogan? Think different,
Yeah,
and they
they're
were
always
trying.
trying to be innovative.
Yeah, because Apple, for other people, there's always that Android Apple versus Apple shit, and always seems to be more Android lovers. But when it comes to, they were trying to. What I respected about Apple was like they were trying to be different than big corporation, IBM desktop, Boringsville. Like even though they might not have been great processing power computers, remember like the Bubble Macs? They're very colorful. They're very artistic. They did change the game obviously with the iPhone and the iPod. The click wheel changed everything for the music industry. Like that's why, like, to me, there's so many parallels between like Apple and Nintendo. They think outside the fucking box big time.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. Absolutely. And that's, like you said, I respect the hell out of Nintendo. I mean, they're doing a great job and they're making great products. It's not like they're making bad games. They're making awesome games. And I mean, I had a buddy that when the Wii and the 360 were released, it was pretty close to each other or whatever. He actually traded his 360 to another buddy of mine for the Wii.
Oh wow.
Just, just because, like, and he regretted it or whatever, but initially it was just because they played the hell out of bowling. Wii Sports itself changed the game. I mean, you had the PS3 tried to eventually come out with the motion controls
Yeah,
that did not take off.
it flopped.
Yeah, it did. And then you had systems like the 360 that tried to set up the Kinect, which I mean the technology is huge. Like that's awesome. But again, like these systems were trying to mimic, what Nintendo was doing.
The PlayStation Move controllers with those glow balls looked so fucking stupid.
Awful. Awful.
God, those look stupid.
Yeah, just gross. I mean, just terrible. Absolutely terrible.
The funny thing is, I'm a late adopter to the Wii because like I'm getting into some of the library now and realizing how fun a lot of those light gun games were. Like I got House of the Dead 2 and 3, which you can use the gun and put attachment on it. And like House of the Dead Overkill, and like there's a couple of Resident Evils that you can kind of use the guns with, and they're really fun, man. Like I think people kind of wrote it off as too much of a kids console when maybe it had a lot more to offer. And like recently, I had like my dad stop by my house, and I popped in that Wii Resorts, that Wii Sports Resort.
Yeah.
We were playing golf, and he hadn't played it ever in his life, and he kicked my ass, dude, in golf because he golfed all the time, and he just naturally adopted to it. And that's the genius of Nintendo, that my fucking 7-year-old dad can pop on a Wii for the first time in his life and whoop my ass in some golf. That's a fucking intuitive console right there. He's not a gamer at all. He's not a gamer at all. That's how good those motion controls are.
And they still hold up. I mean, my 7-year-old has obviously. I mean, she's never been to a golf course. I don't play golf or whatever, but she will spank the whole family in golf. And admittedly, honestly, the Wii is a system that I haven't played a lot of Wii games. I just have never gotten into them. I mean, I play a lot of GameCube games, but I just never have. Not with the Wii.
Yeah, and it's like I think there's the classics on there. Your Mario Galaxy 1 and 2, your Punch Out, your Donkey Kong Returns. Just some standout titles. There's a Kirby's Dream Land on it that's really good. There's, there's a lot of titles that you look back on and you see the evolution of where we ended up now with like your Super Mario Odysseys, and they were just kind of paving the way still then, to come to the Wii U and to come to the Switch. You can see the writing on the wall of where they were headed with it, and how they've kind of mastered that type of game now with the Switch. And and what they ended up doing is like the stuff they ended up doing with the 3DS really kind of borrowed from a lot of those Wii Wii games, the way they set them up, the way they did like the just a lot of times when you play like a Wii game or something, it's kind of zoomed out. You're kind of part of like a big landscape. Whereas you play something on the PlayStation or the Xbox, how you feel like more like you're kind of zoomed in. Like it's kind of like they make you feel like you're a smaller character in a big world, so you can kind of navigate and kind of play around with the level design more so than other consoles. You know what I mean? When you're playing a game on like the Wii or the Switch, or you kind of feel zoomed out a little bit. The perspective.
Yeah, for sure. You feel like, um, you feel. I mean, trying to think of the word to say, but you really feel like. To me, I feel caged in. Like I can't. Now, I don't like to play a ton of these huge sandbox games. But yeah, the Wii and the Switch, I feel very limited. Like I can't do a lot. Um, Now I don't expect that, like Grand Theft Auto style or whatever, where it's a massive game and it's never ending, and there's side quests and it's Grand Theft Auto, right? Um, but yeah, playing like Luigi's Mansion, like you're so uh, constrained on what you can do.
Yeah.
Whereas like other games on the PS4 or the 3 or 360 or whatever, um, it's much more open world. Even though it may not be a huge sandbox, there's still an openness to it.
I think with like with Nintendo too, so much of it about like unlocking the secrets and the Easter eggs and the exploration and the adventure. Whereas like you got your more modern consoles like a PlayStation or Xbox, and you got your more stripped down genres, right? You got your racing games, your first person shooters, your RPGs. Like you kind of know your roads that you go down on those systems versus like so many Nintendo games, they want you to do that exploration, right? In your Zeldas and your Super Mario's, you're exploring, you're unlocking different secrets and spots, and that's why I think they have such a different feel.
Yeah, I agree. And not that like my issue with all the secrets unlocking and all of those different things is just time. Getting older, having a family, working a ton of hours, putting a ton of hours into YouTube, I have to be very specific and intentional with my time. Um, yes, for content creation, but also my personal time that I want to play a game for. Um, and I just don't know that if I want to go through Super Mario Odyssey and find everything. Like to
Right.
me, not that it's a bad game. It's from what everybody said, and I believe it as well. It's a phenomenal game, um, but that's just not what I want in this moment.
Or a better example is maybe Breath of the Wild. I mean,
Eh,
people put
yeah,
100 hours into it.
yeah, absolutely, and that's I have not played a Zelda game since Majora's Mask, and so it's like I said, Breath of the Wild is phenomenal as well. It's just so massive that I don't want to play it because it's so massive. And I know it's incredible, and I know a lot of people love it, and a lot of people are really excited that the second one is coming out. But for example, when I went to beat the new God of War, um, I had my mind made up, and I decided from the very beginning that I was just going to run through the story. I wasn't going to get caught up in the side quests, um, and that's kind of how I played Horizon Zero Dawn as well. I'm just going through as quickly as I can because I want the story.
Sometimes I miss the days of arcade beat 'em ups because and you could just go in, you blow off some steam, playing like a Simpsons arcade, playing an X-Men arcade. You blow off some steam, in like a Double Dragon style beat 'em up, or like a Streets of Rage
Yeah,
Genesis, and you pick up the controller, you beat up some sprites on the screen, you play like a Turtles in Time or a Turtles arcade. You beat up some sprites, you kill some bosses, you put the controller down, and you go fucking do something else. You watch your stupid sitcom or whatever show you watch. And it's just like, because sometimes that's all I want gaming to be. Sometimes just let me blow off some fucking steam, whoop some ass, and then put it down. Sometimes I don't want to like take on a massive platformer. Sometimes I don't want to take on a game that is going to be challenging. Sometimes you want to just turn your fucking brain off.
Yeah, for sure, man. Absolutely. Like that's important in itself. Just kind of stepping away and stepping back. And the closest thing that I found for me personally that I'll play like that is Diablo 3. Real quick, I can jump into it, go around, smash a bunch of goblins or demons or whatever, and then I can put it down and go back to doing what I have to do for a living or for my responsibilities as a parent and a husband and all those different things. So yeah, definitely agree. But that's something that I mean for me, I play in my personal time. I play a lot of sports games. I this is the first year that I haven't bought the show only because I've got a bunch of other stuff going on with YouTube and stuff like that. I can't sink a ton of hours into, but I can play, like for example, I started the new franchise in Madden '09 last week. I can go through and I can play a season or multiple seasons just because it's easy to pick up and put down.
Yeah.
And I can turn my mind off and play it.
I remember a guy coming into a GameStop once when I was there, and I laughed because of the way he phrased it. He's just like, I want to get some games that, like I could tell the guy, you go into GameStop and they try to fucking, at least they used to, for a while, kind of talk to you like a fucking cheap used car salesman, and kind of sell you on some shit or something. So I remember this guy kind of went up to this guy who was a very casual gamer from the way he described himself, and he was just like, I just want some stuff I can play after work and have a few beers and just kind of turn my mind off. And he basically is saying like what I was saying. Sometimes you want that simple game, and he was just a casual gamer. You could tell that he probably doesn't even consider himself a gamer. He's just like some guy that, like your average Joe that wants to watch some shows, and gaming is just a small part of his life, right? And that's cool because it doesn't have to be like not everybody has to be like a fucking collector like most of us, right? Some people like video games are just like a super small ass part of their life, and that's cool too, because there's levels of gamers. It's whatever your level of being into it is. You can be casual or a super serious collector. You want every game. You want to build this extensive library. But like I respect that type of gamer because it's like that's all some people want. That's all some people need.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's who they are, right? I can't expect somebody. I don't want somebody to be something they're not. If the guy wants to get off work, have a couple of beers and play some Madden or play the show or whatever, just be a casual gamer. That's awesome. That's who he is. That's his personality. And GameStop employees or whatever. He's not going to go in there like that guy is not playing through Dark Souls, or if he does, it's going to take him a long time, which is cool too.
And that guy is not the guy that wants the GameStop spiel, right? Like that's the guy that wants the whole. You know how they fucking hit you with like can I interest you in the new Big Mac today? Like they hit you with that like at the fucking GameStop, right? But instead of a Big Mac, it's like, can I have you pre-order the new fucking Ratchet and Clank? Like, no, dude, that guy doesn't want to fucking pre-order the new Ratchet and Clank. That guy just wants some fucking $10 games probably that he can shoot the shit with, like, right? But they give that spiel to everybody. Like, do you want to pre-order the new jerk off game of the week? And they throw that at everybody. And maybe that's part of why they're fucking failing, because of that nonsense.
I mean, honestly, like I don't, and it's sad because I remember like KV Toys and Funko Land where it was a legitimate game store.
Yeah.
But like now, I walk into a GameStop. I walked into one a few weeks back with one of my daughters, and we walked in and walked right back out immediately. It was so stripped down and just so bare. I mean, the whole aspect and the whole creation of modern day streaming is really putting the physical copies and physical games out of business, as did Netflix and services like that. Point there, like I know more about games than that loser at GameStop. I don't want to hear him tell me any of that nonsense. If I want to pre-order Ratchet and Clank, I'm gonna walk in and tell him, "Hey, this is what I'm doing." Don't tell me or don't sell me something. I don't want that crap.
And what's worse than even that, just asking about the pre-order shit, is then I've been in the store before, where they'll be like, you know, if you don't pre-order, you're not gonna be able to get that game. And I'm thinking to
Yeah,
myself, dude, you can go to Target and nobody fucking picks it up there. Like, so maybe like you won't be able to get it because you guys stock 2 copies of it GameStop and are pushing pre-orders instead. But you can go down to fucking Target and there'll be fucking 10 copies of it sitting there because people don't really give a fuck about getting it day one at Target. So it's like they forget that there's all these alternatives. It used to be like you had to go to a fucking GameStop 12 years ago
yeah.
to maybe get the newest game. Target didn't fucking have it or whatever. Your Walmarts or
Like I remember buying Metal Gear Solid the Twin Snakes the day it was released, and um, I bought it from a place called Game Crazy, and like they received 3 copies early because the other stores weren't receiving them yet. Yeah, those days are long gone. And
Here's another one, Dave. So listen to this. How many times, and they do it even at Best Buy too, or fucking everywhere. Can I interest you in a warranty program for this game?
yeah,
I want to be like, are you fucking high?
that's the worst. That's
Like,
what pisses me off the most.
no motherfucker, I'm not gonna get a warranty for my stupid ass fucking video game. Like that, I could see one thing if they want to offer it to you on a console, but that is the biggest fucking racket. They want you to fucking get a warranty on a video game disc.
Yeah, like
Get out of here.
I don't know what you think goes on at my house, but it's
Yeah.
certainly not like here. Just go play with this random disc, right? Like I've been pretty fortunate that in all my years I've had some games that I bought used or whatever that haven't worked. But I had Halo 3, bought it, and a buddy of mine borrowed it, and his kid ruined it. Like seriously, like don't try to offer me some warranty on a game. Come on,
Yeah.
now. Like, the console, I agree.
What are people doing with the discs? Fucking sticking them up their ass?
I mean, really,
Like,
yeah.
what the fuck? What am I gonna do? What am I gonna do with the disc? Fucking drop it and step on it? Like, what is fucking realistically happening with the fucking discs?
I mean, yeah. I mean, like, how do you get a game that's just all scratched up? I mean, seriously, what do you, like you said earlier, that some little snotty nosed kid who lost the case for a GameCube game that didn't take care of it or whatever, and just left it lying around on a shelf and moved it around loosely, just straight
Yeah.
on the shelf,
Especially when like they're made on, most of the other games are on Blu-rays, and they're pretty difficult to fucking scratch, and they want to fucking have the nerve to ask you to fucking buy their fucking warranty.
Like it would be like I'm perfectly like in my perfect world, I could walk in and they don't have to say a word to me. Like, yeah, I do my YouTube thing, this and that, but I don't want to be approached. Like I don't want to be talked to. Just leave me alone. Don't offer me anything. I know what I want. There's nothing you're gonna sell me in a game store that I don't want or I don't need.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's like that kind of like it's really like kind of bullying behavior, like because when you start to get hit over the head with somebody throwing all these fucking it's like I don't know if you've ever been in New York, but you have people like just pestering you on the street about like going to some comedy club or going to some fucking play or coming up to you, or used to back in the day you have some fucking hoodlum saying buy my mixtape or some shit like that. That's really what it's like.
Yeah.
It's like going to a store and getting bullied to buy shit that you don't want. And
Yeah,
like
I'm
game
not
you if you
wondering.
pro card, like whatever their pro card is. Oh
Yeah.
well, you mean what? You don't have the pro VIP jerk off card? Don't you know that you can get 25% off your game if you fucking blah 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 blah? It's like, and I really think that kind of shit is why people are fucking Amazon priming their shit to their house now, because
Yes.
I got sick of the salesman spiels.
I mean, if there's something I want pretty immediately for a modern console, um, I'll swing by and try to get in and out as quickly as possible if I want it like immediately, you know. But if it's something I don't mind waiting for, which is usually the case because I've got way too much going on, as we all do and as we understand, um, I'll eBay it. And a lot of times I can reach out to the seller and I can get them to give me a couple of bones off, um,
Yeah,
which is a lot of fun as well. Getting a game for a dollar or two lower than what he wants. Yeah, I'll take that.
yeah. Make an offer is great on eBay. You just click make an offer, and you know what's a new thing? This just started, maybe 5 6 months ago, I believe. On eBay now, if you click utilize the watch option, okay, on eBay. If you want something, utilize the watch option. Here's why I say that. If you utilize the watch option, it's like automated that eBay will like send you an offer like for a percentage lower. Like they'll say this seller has, and I know it's automated because not every seller is doing this by hand. It's
Yeah.
like the seller is offering you at this discount if you watched it and it's still up. And I don't know if that's something they say that they opt into. They say automatically send some discounts to people, but that really does help push people's shit to sell because you're watching the item and now it's offering you at a lower price. That is seriously helping stuff move on eBay for people.
Yeah, absolutely. And I used to
Helping the
sell,
buyer.
yeah, I used to sell a little bit here on, here and there on eBay. Um, but what gets me, or and like you said, it has to be automated because I'm watching. I mean, I watch everything I buy because a lot of time, like those discounts will appear. And yeah, I mean, I'll watch something and then immediately I see a discount. I'm like, oh, well, that guy's not like, come on, what are the odds that this guy is just, hawk eyeing over his computer and over his eBay that,
Yeah, you noticed it too.
yeah,
It's
oh
got to
yeah,
be automated.
yeah, I believe so. I think so.
um, yeah, and it's like it's all a numbers game because if you hit up enough people with offers, one of them's gonna bite. It's just like fishing. If you stand out
Absolutely.
there long enough with your fucking worm, you're gonna catch a fish. It's like somebody's gonna pony up, and it's like on marketplace. If you hit up enough people, somebody's not gonna have their rent paid that month. Somebody's gonna be like, "Oh, I'll take it. I'll take it. I'll take the price." You know, even
Yeah.
when you lowball people, you always have somebody who's like, "Well, I'll take. Okay." You'll have a few people that are like, "Fuck you! I'm not going that low."
Yeah.
A couple people that'll be so pissed they don't even respond.
Yes.
You see
Oh
that
yeah.
they read it. You just see that they read it. You just see a check mark, and they don't say anything back. You're just like, yeah, they're like, "Fuck you."
Yeah.
But you'll get a couple if you message enough. They're like, "Okay," or they'll be like, "Could you do 5 more than that?" And then you'll be like, "Okay." It's all a numbers game.
Well, like about 5 or 6 years ago, I got really big into Dave Ramsey, and like that's not necessarily gaming related, but this is with that though. That I learned from him. Like, just ask, like, hey man, will you take this amount? What's the worst you're gonna happen? You're gonna tell me no? You're not gonna respond?
Yeah.
I'm gonna start with what I want to pay for it, and then we can start going back and forth. Or I'm just gonna go somewhere else. I'll hit somebody else up. And like you said, somebody. That's a good point. That's a good statement. Somebody's gonna need rent money. Somebody's gonna need that money.
And
Ryan,
have a good
Ryan
poker
actually
face.
had to tell me how to do that.
Yeah, I told him, Brady, don't be scared to lowball people. Don't be scared to haggle. And show a poker face. Don't look like you really want it. Be like, say you're at a flea market, right? A guy's trying to, you're trying to get a guy low on something. You'd be like, okay, thank you, appreciate it, or you just like be like polite, but then just walk away. And they'll see you walk away. They'll be like, hold up, I'll take 5. You know what I mean? Like when they see you walk, they know that shit kicks in. Oh, maybe I'm not going to sell this at all today. Let me just take that offer. And if you play a poker face, they don't even think you want it that bad. So,
And that's just a good life mentality to have, because I bought cars like that. I bought houses like that. Like, just because, and especially now in the game market, as prices have gone through the roof. Like, I know what I used to pay for games and retro games. And like we said earlier, Mario Party 4 is not worth what they want for it. So knowing what it used to be, granted, nobody on eBay is going to take an offer like $40 less. And I wouldn't, but I'm going to try to offer you a respectable lowball offer.
And say where you're coming from. And it's like, if you do it in a way that's not condescending, like you do it in a way like, listen, here's the thing. I'm seeing this go for this price a lot now. And I know that, at one point it might have been going for this, but now it's really going for more like this. And if you kind of explain your, reasoning for giving somebody a much lower price than they're asking, they might actually be like, you know what? Let me look that up. You're probably right. And then they'll listen to you, because a lot of people price something based on inaccurate information.
Without a doubt. And when I go into my local game stores, depending what I'm buying, if I'm buying something that's in the glass case, right? They all know me, but usually my first question is, will you take this for it? And some of the game stores are kind of chain owned, so they're not going to touch it. They won't accept my offer no matter what, and that's okay because I don't give them a ton of business. But the people that are going to work with me, I'm going to keep going back, and I'm going to develop a relationship with those people that own that shop, because they're not GameStop employees. They're gamers, and they know what stuff's worth.
Very true. Very true. Now, and kind of wrapping things up here, Dave, what are some what's some kind of content in the future that maybe you haven't made yet that you're looking to do in videos on your channel?
So July 1st, next Thursday, will be the next game review. It is going to be King of Route 66. Some trucker game that I saw that had the mud flap girl on the cover, and on the back it talks about satisfying chicks or whatever. I don't know what's going to happen with it. But it's a game that I've never heard of, and I know nothing about. I'm sure it's going to be terrible, and it'd be pretty simple. But that's going to come out Thursday. I don't know the rest of the reviews for July. I haven't got that far ahead yet, but in August, I'm going to do a Terminator themed month to celebrate Judgment Day for August 29th. And so every review will be, Terminator related. And any other content that I do, I will try to wrap it back around to the Terminator.
What is the dad box, Dave?
Oh man, dude, the dad box is something that um, I saw on a video from one of the guys across the pond. And I think it's really started with the whole COVID environment as they were locked down a lot harder than we were in the States, where gamers over there just threw some stuff in a box and started sending it around. And what intrigued me was that I kind of saw it fall off, and it's shown up again, but I wanted to do something like that here in the States. I wanted to reach out to others in the community because as much as I love making content, I really enjoy hanging out and conversing with everyone. It's an awesome community, and
Yeah.
there's nobody locally other than the game store that I can have these same kind of conversations. So it's a box that I started with that same kind of mindset that I'm going to put all these games in. We're going to send it out all over the country, and I want it's a box with 6 games. You take three, you take up to three or whatever, but the whole intrigue of the video is you don't reveal which ones you're taking. So the next guy you send it to is, he doesn't necessarily know what's going to be in the box. This guy may want Chrono Cross, for example, that was in the box. Well, I mean, it wasn't there anymore. That's just part of the whole intrigue with the box, and it's something that, man, I've had a lot of fun watching this thing go around. It's been in quite a few gamers' hands, and it's been in some gamers' hands that I kind of respect and I kind of look up to on the channel, and so it's been fun.
That's a cool idea. I might want to be a prankster, and I might want to be a prankster and stick like a Bubsy 3D in there.
The Coapula nerds said that they were going to put dirty diapers in it, but if you go back and watch Drinking Games with Josh, when he got it, I put Shaq Fu in there for him. And, Shaq Fu is awful. It's absolutely one of the worst games ever, but it's also kind of like it's Shaq Fu. Like, I don't mind having that game sit on my shelf. I'm never going to play it, but it's Shaq Fu.
The question for the ages is Shaq was just probably so dick deep in endorsements that he probably didn't even play test the fucking game,
Oh man. Well, I think
ever had more fucking endorsements than Shaq, he would do a fucking ad for a fucking dick cream if he gave money in. He really would. He'd fucking do a genital herpes commercial. Shaq would do anything if there's a motherfucking paycheck in it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think they just tried to re-release Shaq Fu. I think digitally only. I think, but yeah, he was all over that. And they probably never played it either. But
that's the only thing I could think could explain how bad that game is. And Michael Jordan got hit with the same thing because he made a game and it also fucking sucked. Remember the Michael Jordan game? It was like Michael Jordan in the Windy City or some dumb shit like that. It was terrible.
Yeah, it was crap. And then you had games like Chicago Bulls versus the Trailblazers or whatever on Genesis or whatever. It's like, give me a break.
Nobody wanted that shit. We wanted fucking NBA Jam.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
We didn't want to play that garbage. But hey, there must have been a paycheck for them too in those games.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Why do it for free when you can make money off of it?
Watching some of this footage of Wolfenstein almost reminds me of kind of like some of the levels in like Destiny where like you're running around, there's some like behemoth boss you gotta kill. I don't know if you've ever played any of the Destiny games, but some of the boss fights are like that where like you're getting hit with like hordes, and then there's like this big fucking enemy that you gotta kind of keep running around and get in the right spots to hit.
I don't remember the name of the boss, but I remember the raid. I thought I remembered. It's the Vault of Glass, maybe. It was the first major raid in Destiny. and that was a big deal. Like that was an awesome moment for that game. I can't get into Destiny 2, but I put a lot of hours into Destiny 1 and really enjoyed it. It was a great game.
So good. It's so good.
Yeah, really good.
I don't know why I never meet anybody that really played it much.
I put a lot of hours into it and had a great time. Like Destiny 2, I tried to play it and couldn't really get into it. And
Yeah.
I kind of got at that point I was kind of over the whole Destiny kick.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people were.
They just what it just felt a little empty or something. That Destiny 2.
Yeah, it felt halfway done.
Unfinished.
Yeah, for sure. Like it should have been like DLC or something. I don't think it should have been a separate game.
Do people not realize that the team behind the original Halo games, Bungie, those guys went on to make Destiny? Do people not realize that?
I mean, absolutely. Like you had some of the same guys leave to go make Titanfall.
Yeah.
And like I remember playing the demo for Titanfall, and everybody that I was playing with, like we kept saying one thing, and that was like, this game's going to be revolutionary. Like it's going to change first-person shooters. And in some regards, it did because you had Call of Duties that went to space and did all kind of crazy crap. But I mean, yeah, man, like the games, like those developers that left, I mean, they did good work. I mean, they weren't peons to begin with. They left big game
Oh,
studios.
the guys that left after a couple first three, the guys that left after the first four Halos, 1, 2, 3, and Reach, were the genius behind those games, and that's why Halo 4, when that came out, it fucking blew, because it wasn't the same team, and they were working on Destiny instead. You know, and I think people forget that. And when I ask people like about Destiny, they're like, "No, I never played that." It's odd to me.
Yeah, I agree. I find that odd because for modern consoles, that was a big game for multiplayer, right? It was all online multiplayer with a team of four or whatever, and it was just a lot of fun.
My only thing was, doesn't it feel slow as fuck leveling up your character? Like it just felt like never ending. Like you fucking unlocked the fucking wristband. You fucking unlocked the new helmet with a new visor on. Like it felt like baby steps to building your character forever.
Yeah,
to like
it did.
power up your shit,
It certainly did. But I think I got to give credit to them because the one aspect of their product that I really liked, because at one point I played Destiny a lot on the Xbox One, and I wasn't enjoying it. So eventually, I went to the Destiny on the PS4. But at the time, I started playing whatever it was, the first DLC, Return of the King, or whatever. But when I started the game, I obviously was so many levels behind current players.
Yeah.
But they give you like when you buy a DLC like that and you're that far behind, they give you like they level you up, immediately. But yeah, it's like once you start leveling up, you reach a certain point where it really slows down.
And I loved exploring that world, that universe, taking the ship back to home, the home planet, and like, meeting all the, talking to all the characters, like cashing your shit in, going around town, taking the ship to the different planets. You could do the missions, you could do the I think it was the Crucible matches.
Yep.
It was a well thought out, developed game. It was not half-assed.
No, and I mean, overall, like the gunplay on that was perfect.
Yeah.
The gunplay and the gameplay and the controls. I mean, jumping back, doing headshots with a revolver seamlessly. Yeah, it took skill to get to that point, but once you got it, it was so satisfying. Same thing with hitting somebody with a throwing knife or whatever. And I did not find that same enjoyment in Destiny 2.
No, I know. The boss, that one boss battle in Destiny 2, I don't know if you got that far, but I thought that boss battle was pretty badass. But the rest of it felt so repetitive. A lot of things you would do in it.
Yeah, because when it starts, What I'm not a big fan of is it felt like I was doing a bunch of fetch tasks, and I wanted to play uh, Destiny, and I tried a few weeks back actually to play Destiny 2 again, and just couldn't do it. It just I wasn't feeling it.
Yeah, I hear you. They couldn't match the first one. It's the sophomore slump.
Which is crazy to me because you have the template. Like
Yeah.
you have the formula for a great game. Like what did you change that like ruined that?
And now they fucked up so bad. I don't think there's going to be a Destiny 3 now.
I mean,
Or DLC. I read something like that. Did you read that?
no, I haven't. I haven't. But I believe you. I don't. It's. I mean, who knows what that team will go on to do next? But they
Yeah,
definitely.
I think the whole series is dead now. So, and if they had that, and that sucks because if they had done 2 right, there would have been a 3.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that team's reputation took a hit. And it's not that they can't create good games. And it's not that it's a bad game. It's just a very mediocre game that is following a fantastic game, in my opinion.
Yeah, for sure. Totally agree. Well, listen, Dave, thank you so much for doing the show tonight. Appreciate having you.
Yes,
Hope you had
absolutely,
fun.
man. I'm so happy I got you to do this.
Yeah, no, thank you guys. This has been a lot of fun. I appreciate the opportunity. I know y'all reached out, and I definitely don't feel like I'm nowhere near some of your other guests. But this has been a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. You guys are rock stars. Thank you so much for reaching out to me.
No, man, you're the rock star.
Hell yeah, Dave. Well, listen, keep in touch, man. Stop by. We'll be watching your content.
Now that you have Discord, you can pop in anytime we're on Discord. We normally hang out in general.
Yeah.
Yeah, shoot the shit with us. Keep us updated. Let us know what you're up to.
Yeah, for sure. I didn't know anything about Discord, but that's okay.
That was awesome that you got it tonight just to do this.
Yeah, no, this was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it, guys. I really did.
Yeah, that's one of the hurdles too, because we got to get everybody to adapt to the technology. They got to get the app just to do the interview. But the good thing is for the people that do, you're going to end up finding other people that have a Discord, other channels, and you'll just expand your community that way.
Yeah, that's what I have. That's what I have the most fun doing is just hanging out with everybody.
Definitely.
This Discord is good for this retro gaming community too.
For sure, Dave. Well, listen, enjoy the rest of your night. This interview will be up in a separate video on its own, probably by Thursday. So I'll send you a link as soon as it's done.
Awesome. I appreciate it, guys. Y'all be good and y'all take care, man. I really appreciate it.
Take care,
Dave,
Dave.
man.